Hey everybody, Chief Meteorologist Brad Petovich here. Get ready for a full-on taste of spring fever today, but I'm also keeping an eye on storms off to the west, which probably going to produce a pretty significant severe weather outbreak today. The question is how much of that will be heading our way. Let me show you the wider view first. You can kind of see what's going on. Really clear, we've got this strong southwesterly wind. You know, I jokingly call that the blowtorch for good reason, because today is a great example of this. We've got really warm temperatures. I'm going to turn the surface temperatures on here quickly, and I'll show you what they look like down at the surface, because it is really, really warm. I'll turn the satellite data off. Look at all those 70s. Here we are. It's not even noon yet, East Coast time, and we've got mid and upper 70s. We're likely going to be close to a record high today. I think 86 is doable. The record high is 88, set back in 1929. So it is a really warm afternoon. Now here's the storm system we're watching right here in the middle of the country. I'm going to show you the severe weather outlook for today real quickly, and you'll see that we've got a pretty good risk of tornadoes. That's the tornado risk. Let me show you the overall risk of severe weather. So this is the area we're highlighting. If you know people in this area, or if you live in this area, stay weather aware today, because potentially maybe a significant tornado outbreak, especially in the middle and lower Mississippi River Valley between, I would say, western Kentucky all the way down to Louisiana. Now, I briefly showed the tornado probabilities because those are the tornado probabilities. You go 2, 5, 10, and 15% probability of a tornado within 25 miles of any point on the map. That's a pretty significant threat of tornadoes. Now, let's go to the east. Tomorrow, is this going to continue to shift east? Well, kind of. You see there's a low risk now for parts of South Carolina into Georgia. I wouldn't be surprised to see this sneak a little north, but right now the overall risk is weaker as it pushes to the east. We'll go day 3 real quickly just to show you that that front will stall to the south, so we might see additional strong storms down there. So let's get into the futurecast as this moves forward. All right, we're looking at short-range rapid refresh guidance here for everybody paying attention at home. This is the system pushing to the east. We'll go into the afternoon hours, and you can see, yeah, that's a pretty nasty line. And embedded in there will likely be supercell thunderstorms. The one you always you worry about, yeah, within the line, but see these individual storms that pop out ahead of the line? Those are the ones I worry about. And then you see the Boeing segments. This has just got all kinds of severe weather impacts, likely damaging straight line winds, but some strong tornadoes are certainly probable, if not likely, within that line as it pushes to the east. Really potent line, becomes more of a squall line and a straight line wind risk overnight. And again, anytime you get these squiggles, and again, this is not fancy meteorology here, but we call it a QLCS, but you see these squiggles anywhere in here and sometimes at the apex of the bows. Remember, it's like a bow and arrow. Those are the areas you watch for spin-up tornadoes within those lines. So that's going to continue pushing east. So for the Carolinas, you know, we get into the early morning hours, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. That line is going to be heading towards the mountains and weakening, but it's likely still going to have some gusty winds. So early tomorrow morning, we're likely going to see storms entering from the west. They will move across the Piedmont in the middle of the day. Notice they're weakening, but the question is how quickly they weaken. I still think they're going to produce strong winds. One thing about thunderstorms is they collapse. They tend to push out strong winds even as they start to weaken. That pushes through and weakens by middle of the day. So morning hours, yeah, morning soccer, t-ball, softball, it all looks like it's going to get washed out in the morning. I hate to say, because there's also lightning in here. And then in the afternoon, this is really probably my bigger concern. There's a front coming through, just enough to lift the air. Not a ton of storms develop, but notice some of these isolated thunderstorms. And isolated is the word of the day. These will be extremely isolated. Got to keep an eye. One of these two don't go rogue on us. And what I mean by that is they don't get a little active, especially down in South Carolina. Overall, the risk looks pretty low, but you see a couple in there into early on Sunday morning. So Charlotte FC supporters groups, all right, you're going to be tailgating probably starting 3, 4 o'clock. Rain should be out of there, should be fine, but just keep an eye on the radar. Pay attention to my tweets. I'll keep you up to date as those push through. Again, the overall risk will diminish as it pushes our way. Now, let me quickly show you the thunderstorm fuel. So again, the parameter I'm showing you here is what we call CAPE. It's convectively available potential energy. It's thunderstorm fuel for the layman's. That's all it is. The more of it you have, the more potential you have for storms to feed off of it. Think of it as gasoline for an engine. Now, sometimes you have a ton of gasoline, but you don't have an engine to put it in. So it doesn't always just mean a ton of CAPE. If you have the engine and the CAPE together, then you start worrying. So we know we're going to see some storms out there. And those isolated ones, remember the ones that were heading our way on Saturday night? I'll start Saturday morning. There's not a ton of CAPE air. That's why the storms are weakening. But watch what happens going into Saturday afternoon. the Cape kind of recovers. And why does that happen? Well, the sun comes out, instability builds. And now again, it's waning a little bit, but down in South Carolina, there might be enough to keep these sustained as the front pushes through. So again, overall, I would say this is a really marginal, low risk, but it's just, we're in the springtime, folks. It's something we need to pay attention to. Overall, in the Carolinas, we should be okay from severe weather. Can't rule out isolated, strong, severe storms. But folks, here in the deep South, the mid-South tonight and today, please be on guard and be weather aware. It looks like we could see some significant severe weather this afternoon into the evening.